Hi, this is Churchill, Head Teacher at Churchill Academy Sixth Form with your first February update of this national lockdown. This is the video version of the letter sent home on the 5th of February 2021. This week there have been no policy updates, U-turns or shifts in guidance. We still expect a government announcement on the 22nd of February about the proposed return to schools on the 8th of March. We're also still awaiting the outcome of the Ofqual consultation on GCSE, A-levels and other qualifications, which we expect towards the end of this month. This therefore seems the perfect time, as we near the end of this first term of lockdown, to focus on managing workload and well-being, particularly for students learning remotely. To help us understand how things are going, we've created a short survey to gather feedback on the remote learning provision we have in place, and you can find a link to that survey towards the end of the email version of this letter. So we continue to be impressed by the effort that so many of our students are putting into their remote learning. At the end of the 5th week of it, the strain is starting to show. This is completely natural. It isn't easy being away from the daily contact with your friends and teachers, the hustle and bustle of lesson changeover, and the enjoyment that comes from being in a classroom with your peers. We know this, the teachers feel it too. But at this time, we're not able to have any more students in school. For the majority of our young people, education continues remotely through Google Classroom, Meet, Zoom, YouTube, Oak National Academy, and all of the many and varied other resources we're using. We're throwing everything we can into the remote learning effort because we know that education matters and we don't want to let this lockdown get in the way. We want our students to return to school smoothly, having covered as much of the curriculum as they would have done in a normal term. We know there will be some gaps, but we're doing all we can to minimise them. We also know that this brings additional pressure. While some students are sailing smoothly through remote learning, others are finding it a real challenge. Everyone is different, and everyone's circumstances are unique. We thought it was important at this stage to remind everyone about what we're expecting and not expecting from our students during remote education. We do not expect students to spend any longer than the timetabled lesson time, 1 hour, on the work for each lesson. We're aiming to provide enough time in each lesson for students to document, save, and if necessary, upload their work before the end of the lesson. We recognise that all students work at a different pace, so this will vary from student to student. Our mantra is, do as much as you can with your best effort in the time you have available. Do not spend any longer than the time allocated on your timetable. You will never be in trouble if your teachers can see that you've tried your best with remote learning, even if you haven't finished everything. We're not setting homework for years 7 to 11 during this lockdown period. Sixth Form students may be set additional tasks to complete during study lessons to supplement their remote learning lessons. However, we are not expecting any students to be working beyond the hours of the school day. If your child is working on schoolwork before 8:40 a.m. or after 3:05 p.m, tell them to stop. They've done enough. They will not be in trouble. They do not need to do any more. A good way to see what 1 hour's work looks like is shown in an example from maths that I'm just going to show you briefly now. So here's an example from a Year 11 maths lesson of a student showing us what 1 hour's work looks like. So as you can see in this example, the student had just got up to question 6 here. At this point, they literally drew the line and wrote 1 hour work, and took a photo of what they'd done and uploaded it to their Google Classroom. Their teacher was delighted. Their head teacher was thrilled. Here's an example of a student managing their time effectively. You don't need to do all the questions. You just need to work for the allocated hour. Some students would have got right up to question 8 or even onto the additional extension tasks. Others may only have got as far as question 3. But all of the students would have done some maths, tried and made progress. Provided you've worked with your best effort for the hour, that's good enough for us. So I hope that students will follow this example to show their teachers that they are working as hard as they can within the allocated time on their timetable. Teachers at the Academy can normally monitor work rates in the classroom and make adjustments accordingly. During remote education, we can't do that as effectively. We've made our expectations as clear as we can, but we have to rely on you, parents and family members, to tell them that they have to stop, that it's okay to stop, that actually Mr. Hildrew has told you to tell them to stop. Because whilst keeping their education going through lockdown really, really matters, their mental and physical health matters more. At 3:05 p.m, they need to shut down Google Classroom for the day and have a proper break. Take their daily exercise, help out around the house, maybe even make their bed and put their dirty washing in the laundry basket. Or am I expecting too much? So at the end of this month of remote learning, it will be really helpful for us to understand how it's going for you and your family. We'd therefore be really grateful if you could fill out a short survey to give us some feedback so we can review what we're doing and make adjustments if needed. You can find the link to the survey in the emailed version of this letter, which is also on the Academy website. If you have more than one child at the Academy, please fill out one survey per child. We're really sorry if you've got 4, but it should only take a few minutes for each one. And finally, as announced in last week's update letter, the Academy will be closed over the February half term. We have a scheduled inset day on Friday the 12th of February, so our last day of remote learning will be Thursday the 11th of February. This will also be the last day of term for Frontline, and it will be a free non-uniform day at the request of our Year 11 Frontline students. Frontline will reopen for students with confirmed places only on Monday the 22nd of February, when remote learning will begin again for all other students. With thanks as ever for your continued support of our students in the Academy, please stay safe, and I'll see you next week for our final update of this term.